This conference will now be recorded.
See, we are going to skip the class on Monday, my morning, right? Your Sunday night. So my Monday morning class, I'm going to skip. And instead, we are going to connect my Saturday morning. Uh, okay, so just an hour session will connect on my Saturday morning. Will that be okay for you all? Right, just an hour session because we already, like schedule has been delayed already for all of you. So we'll skip the Monday session and coming Saturday, day after tomorrow, we'll have an hour session. Right. So we have seen introductions on Visualforce page. We have seen the introduction of Visualforce page. Right. What is Visualforce page? Visualforce is a tag-based language. It's a tag-based language. It is used to create a custom user interface. A custom user interface. We can have our interface with our own custom look and feel. Okay, what are the purpose? We go for a Visualforce language to create a custom user interface, to have a different look and feel, and to override the standard page with different functionality. The buttons in the standard page can also be overridden by using the custom logics, like you create a Visualforce page and you can connect your Visualforce page to the standard buttons. So when a user click on edit, instead we go to the edit page of standard page, we can redirect the user to the custom user interface, right? And and it's a tag based language, and it consists of two things: components and controllers. Got me? It consists of component and controller. When I say components, then we have standard components and we can also create custom components. What I mean by components, the tags. Visualforce components, Visualforce tags, all mean the same. So when I say standard components, its components are provided by Salesforce. Components are provided by Salesforce. So they're given a library of components. They're given some collections of components using which you can build your Visualforce page. And they're given components like apexColonPage, apexColonSectionHeader, apexColonPageBlock, etc. Okay, there are different types of a set of components they're given, and 90% of the components provided by Salesforce belongs to a namespace called Apex. It's a library. Yesterday we discussed about namespace. A namespace is a kind of library. The component page belongs to this library. The section header belongs to this library. So the namespace colon the component name. So these are our components provided by Salesforce. So each component has attributes, right? Each component has attributes also. I given the rules of right, how the Visualforce page, Visualforce tags will be looking like. We have given some introductions. We have seen some introduction yesterday. So apexColonPage, we have attributes, id attributes, controller, rendered. Okay, so these attributes will pass, you will have some value here, you will have some value here, you will have some value here, and the value may be a string, the value may be a boolean type, the value may be a string, the value may be a boolean type. There are two types of values the attributes will accept, and attributes adding a properties to the component. It adds property, it is adding a property to the component. When you say id, then the component is identified by an attribute called id. So like that, we have different types of attribute and different set of standard components provided by Visualforce. So what we are going to how we are going to start now, we are going to see the standard component purpose of the standard components with a demo. We'll start with apexColonPage. Right, apexColonPage is nothing but your Visualforce page. It means every Visualforce page should start with apexColonPage and ends with /apexColonPage. So if you say Visualforce page, it's nothing but it starts with apexColonPage and ends with apexColonPage. So how you can do the coding, how you can build your page? You go to the developer console, file, new Visualforce page, right? So you can see here the page consists of every other tags will be wrapped inside, will be wrapping inside the tag called apexColonPage /apexColonPage. So apexColonPage is nothing but your Visualforce page. It denotes a VF page. People are able to follow this, right? Okay, right. And we'll see what are the attributes we have. In short, the important attributes. What are the important attributes we have with the apexColonPage? We have id attribute. id attribute, it is used to refer this component uniquely in the page. It is used to identify this component in the page. It means we can communicate from other component, one component to another component. We can communicate from one component to another component, passing a value when a user initiates some button click, or when a user double click, then I would like to refresh the page, right? So in order to identify the component, every component, it's not only page, every component will have id attribute. So one component can communicate with the other component. So how to communicate? You need to point some when you call some person, you call the person with a name, right? So every person will have a name, so uniquely you will identify the person. Similarly, the components in a Visualforce page, each component will be identified an attribute called id attribute. So the page also has id attribute, which is used to identify the component uniquely. So how will you, what is the value you can pass? You'll pass a string. It is a string value. Okay. So I create one component. So I give any name here. The error is for a different, not for this. I'm able to save this, right? I'm just using some HTML tag to highlight the header. That's it. Okay, some content. So HTML tags can be directly included, right? So this is a ID component, and I have an attribute called show header. See, if you keep the cursor here, you'll see the auto-suggested options will appear. What are the attributes available for respective components? You can see here. Okay. So what I'm going to cover now, we are going to cover an important attributes. Right. We have attributes called show header. Show header. What is the value it's accepting? Boolean. By default it is true. By default it is true. When it is true, then the header components will be displayed. These are header components. My page will be rendered here. My page will be rendered the result here. Show the result here. But what about the header? We can decide whether header needs to be visible or not. By default, the show header is true. If you don't specify show header here, then show header is considered as true. Preview. The header is visible, my content. Got me? So I just give the show header now. It doesn't make any difference because by default, show header is true. Right. I make it as a false now. It accepts a boolean. The ID accepts string. The header is gone. When the header is gone, the sidebar component also gone. When header is gone, the sidebar component also gone. People able to follow this? Got me? True. It automatically refresh once the page is saved. The sidebar and header both will go away when you both will not render. You got the terminology what I'm using here? Render. Right? Render means showing the content. Got me? So this is a terminology we'll use it in in Salesforce page concept. In Visualforce page coding, render the page, it means display the page, upload the page. So when the page uploads, when the page executes, when the web page executes, you see the results. It means we're rendering the content. Got me? Right. Show header. Show header, it's a boolean value. If it is true, the standard header will be displayed or rendered. Got me? And by default it is true. See, this is not the value to see, this is not the value to see. Okay, this is a value we are going to set here so that other component can identify this. Okay, now we cannot show the demo for ID component. ID component just to give the name for this component. That's all. We are not going to see that. This not to see the result. Okay, this ID is a component, is attribute where other component can locate this component. Okay, by default it is true. If false, the standard header will not be displayed.
Standard header is nothing but the
Salesforce standard header I'm talking about, the top portion. The top portion, fine. There is another, fine ma. So there is another component, another attribute called a sidebar. So this is what a sidebar is denotes. This is what the sidebar denotes. I would like to hide this sidebar, not the header, only the sidebar.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ranjit. When you say top header, is it that a logo and a search?
Everything
options?
all together. Everything
Including
above the content, everything together is header. Everything.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Show header. So sidebar. Sidebar is the one you are seeing here. Is a sidebar. Apart from header, sidebar. So by default, I'm able to see, right? So it's also accepting Boolean value. Boolean by default it is true. If I'm making it as false, the sidebar will go away, will not be rendered. The sidebar is gone. So it is a Boolean value. When it is true, which is a default behavior. When it is false, will not be displayed. Okay, right. So we have an attribute. People, this is just a basics introductions of how the page component is going to be used. Okay, the attributes what we are covering, some important attributes. Okay, and some important attributes, as well as trying to give additional attributes which you may rarely use it, but in order to have some knowledge about other attributes as well. Got me? So right, I'll go with the, to save our time, I can, instead of typing out everything, I can go with the notes for you, so that we can see these notes and make the quick demo on the topics. Hope you're fine with this, right? Instead of type down everything, so to save your time, my time, so that we can move forward, right? So we have an attribute called setup. We have an attribute called setup. So what is the use of this attribute? It is a Boolean value. It is a Boolean value. When you set it as true, the salesforce.com setup menu will be displayed. So it means what? I'm able to see the setup menu now. So by default, it is true. I go to the page. There is an attribute called setup. It accepts a Boolean value. Am I right? So by default, it is true. I'm making it as false. I'm making it as false. Okay, it's not working properly. Our whole header will go away, right? It's not working this way. Yes, it's showing up. Right. So you can see here, it's not about the The menu in the sense is not the link. The menu that you are seeing in the left side. The menu you are seeing in the left side. Got me? So it is true now. I'm making it as false and save it. So once a page is saved, you'll see the page is refreshed. The setup menu options has gone. Got me able to follow this? So the setup is nothing but it accepts a boolean value where the setup menu will be displayed. It decides whether to display the setup menu or not. Okay, right. We have a component, we have attribute called rendered.
Sorry to interrupt you again, Ranjit.
No
What is the
problem.
difference between setup and the sidebar then?
No, the sidebar is different. See here, the sidebar is we are talking about. You see the recent items to create a quick record. You see a recycle bin. That is your sidebar. The menu is another feature. Menu is another feature like your sidebar. Got me? Menu is where you find tools to customize your application. The sidebar is to see your recent items, recycle bins, and all those items. Right? Every tab you go, you will see the sidebar component.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Rendered. No, Sandhya, it's working. Got me? If you see the setup menu, when you load the page, when you preview the page, the component decide whether you're able to see the setup menu here or not. That's it. Okay. It was working. It was working, right? If I make it as true, see this, you make it as true, I'm seeing the setup menu. That's it. Right. So we'll move on to other attribute rendered. So I hope you know in the beginning I told like rendered. Rendered means what? You load the content of the page. You load the content of the page. Got me? So whatever the content, what is the content? This is my whatever you have inside your apexColonPage and close by apexColonPage, everything will be resolved when the page is loaded. I'm seeing the content of my page. So now I can avoid rendering this page. It means the page will not be render any result at all. When the render attribute, when I render attribute which accepts boolean value, by default it is true. That's the reason we are able to see the content. I'm making it as false. I'm making it as false. The page renders but no result, right? The page content will not be rendered. It means it's similar to like we are not executing the page. Okay, but not exactly. It's not a execution. It's not about execution. The content of the page will not be rendered. The content of the page will not be rendered. Got me? So when you make a page as a render as a false. Okay, so you will use this. You will use the real applications implementation of this. You can understand it when you cover some more attributes, some more components, other components. Then we'll connect two components and we'll see the complete demo. Now, what you are trying to understand? We are trying to understand what is the purpose of each attribute. So this is not your complete implementation of the page. Got me? So we are trying to understand the purpose of each and every attributes in brief. Got me? So when you set as true, the component will be displayed. When they set as false, you can say component will not be displayed. It's hidden. By default, it is true. You be able to follow this? And we have an attribute called content type. The content type specify how the content of the page should be displayed. In what format the page can be downloaded. That's what this a content type attribute decides. Okay, the content type attributes decides in what format the page content can be downloaded. So what are the formats? It can download in different other formats. I given some example here. We trying to download with the document format and Excel format. So the content type will accept the value in this format, vnd.msword as your page, what name, in what name you like to create the document. So document will have the content from the page. Say for example, I have this content. I'm going to use I remove the render attribute. For your reference, I copy this. I keep it here. Got me? Right. Or else you'll go with another page. Visualforce. Content type VND. You see the acceptable value here, VND, right? Dot MS Word hash the file name, profile dot doc. See, whatever content we give here, that will be that content will be captured in the document. The document will be automatically downloaded. People able to follow this? I'm just giving some title. Okay, some content is given. I'm saving this file. Preview. What happens here? A document is downloaded. Open the document. You see the content is captured. So in what the format I can download the file. Okay. On what the format I can download the file. The content type cannot be PDF. The content type cannot be PDF. We have another attribute. We have another attribute where the PDF value is acceptable. The content type, you can download the document, XLS and text image format. So those formats are there. Even if you see the library of Salesforce component, I will show the library later, where you can find all the standard components. You will not able to see the possible values. Okay, these possible values we got from by experience with different projects. We came to know these are the values you can pass. If you refer in any HTML libraries, HTML tutorials, you'll come to know most of the attributes will common to your HTML attributes also. Okay, but it's not necessary. You need to have knowledge on HTML. You can refer the library provided by Salesforce to know about possible values of attributes. Okay, it's detailed given what are the possible values of each attributes, and some of the attributes you will find you may not able to find the exact applicable values. So but we have it right by exposure, we try to bring we're trying to document some of the possible values to the content type. So there are two possible values I given. You can download the page content by specifying the values like this in document format. You can also download in XLS format. People are good with this?
Clear, sir.
Okay, ma. Right. So we have read-only attribute. So it's a Boolean value again. It's a Boolean value. By default, it is false. Okay, by default it is false. It means whenever you give a page, whenever you make a page as a read-only, whenever you make as a page as a read-only, you can see a read-only attribute. Okay, it means the page cannot be used for modifying the content. The page cannot be used to get any input from the user. The page cannot be used for update purpose. Got me? We cannot use the page for update purpose or delete purpose or editing, because the page I set as read only. Right? Then what the purpose of the page? The page can be only used to show the details, read only mode. Okay, the page can only be show the details. I cannot render the page like this. The page is going to use to display only the content. Only every content will be a read-only content. Got me? So there is a scenario you will go for read-only equal to true. The page has limitations to show number of maximum number of table components, table rows you can show. When it is read-only equal to true, you can display a page can show large volume of data. When the page is read-only false, it means you can only render a less volume of data. Okay, so there are components you need to understand. That implement while doing that implementation, you'll understand the actual purpose of the real-time implementation of read-only attribute. But now you should know what is read-only attribute. Read-only attribute is a Boolean value. When it is set as true, the content will be displayed in read-only mode, read-only format. It means the page cannot be used for any editing purpose. The page cannot be used for editing purpose. Got me? Render as. Someone asked me what is how to create how to render the content of the page as a PDF format. So this attribute you can use to render the content in the form of PDF. To render the content in the form of PDF, only acceptable value, only possible value for this component, for this attribute is PDF. That's it. You cannot give a render as Excel. You cannot give a render as a Word. You can only pass PDF only. See here. So this is my. I'll go with a different other page. Render as. So in what format you are going to render as? Render as. Render this page as. Okay, got me? So render this page as PDF. Render as PDF. Only acceptable value is going to be PDF. No other values are acceptable. So preview. The page is rendered as a PDF format. Got me? You save it or download it. Its page is rendered as a PDF format. So only possible acceptable values for render as is going to be PDF. People are able to follow this. Okay, I given some examples here. So when I attach a notepad, you will understand this. Okay, so these were some brief, some important attributes and use of your apexColonPage. We'll move on to next attribute, apexColonSectionHeader. apexColonSectionHeader. So what is the use of this attribute? This component. This component is used to add a title for the page. The component is used to add a title for the page. When I say title, I go to Home tab. Right, okay, I go to the Campaign tab. So this is some default logo defined by the Salesforce for this tab, right? And this is a title. This is a subtitle. This is a title. This is a subtitle. I go to the Lead tab. A standard logo, title, subtitle, account, title, subtitle. What about your custom objects? For your custom objects, we choose a style for the tab, right? We choose a style for the tab when you create a custom tab. To create a custom tab, we need to have some custom object, right? Okay, someone has created some objects, ABC something. Okay, some objects I have. I create a tab, a custom tab. So I'll create a tab for this. We choose a style, right? So this, you see the logo here? That logo is going to appear here. Okay. Alarm clock. Next. I am adding to all the applications. ABCs. You're seeing a title and a subtitle. So similar to that, you can add a title for your page by using a component called sectionHeader. We'll see the demo now. apexColonVisualForce. You'll be able to follow this sectionHeader. sectionHeader. I just save this without giving any, without adding any attributes. Preview. You see here, some default logo is added. Okay. So by default, it inherits the logo from Home tab. By default, the sectionHeader inherits the logo from Home tab. Okay, right. So how to give the title? I said the title is what you're seeing here is a title and it's a subtitle. So how to add a title and subtitle? We have attributes. The attributes title, I add the title now. I add the title now. I have a subtitle attribute. So to add a subtitle for the page, similar to this, we have a subtitle for the page. So I'm going to add a subtitle now. Right. So this basically a page will have basically a one title at the top. But for the demo purpose, would like to show you the differences. So I just added the two sectionHeader for the same page. But normally we'll have one title for the page, right? But for the demo purpose, we included the components to show you the difference between the attributes. Okay, the purpose of the attributes. So title and subtitle. To be able to follow this, right? Okay. Then right now, so I have another attribute called description. The description will add some text, will add some content below this, below the sectionHeader. It will add some content. Got me? Some content is added. So this is a sectionHeader with just title, this sectionHeader with title, subtitle, the sectionHeader with title, subtitle, and content. Right? And you see here in the standard page, you're seeing some help for this link, right? When I click on help for this link, it's a standard look and feel feature of every page you go. Most of the pages you will see a help for this page. When you click on it, it will take you to the standard help.salesforce.com page. Got me? Similarly, I can also add an help for this page for my sectionHeader. For my page Visualforce page, I can also add a help. So how to add a help? We have another attribute. Called so what is the attribute? Help. So the help, you will pass URL. in case if you like to point to the help.salesforce.com, then I give that URL here. You will be able to follow this. I save this. So help is an attribute which will where you will pass an URL. So this will add a link at the right side. This will add a help link at the right side with the standard label help for this page. This label we cannot change here. The label is going to be standard. Okay, we are trying to inherit the standard look and feel by using these components. That's what these components called standard components. Using standard components, we are going to inherit the look and feel of your standard page. So help for this page, the same label will appear now, but when a user click on it, it will take you to the URL, whatever URL you are pointing here. Help for this page, click on this, it takes to the help.salesforce.com homepage. That's what we given there. Suppose I like to give a different my another Visualforce page. Suppose I have a help page for a customer related content I have in another Visualforce page. Let's create that page.
Ranjit, for displaying a value, we use H1 tag. Yeah?
I don't get you, ma.
No. For displaying value on the page, we use H1 tag always. Like how
Yes,
we use
that implementation will see. Well, we'll give that content topics later, ma. How to implement the Visualforce page. Okay, right.
And then one more thing, like whatever that header name we displayed, can we change the font and size of that characters?
No, it's not possible. In the declarative, we cannot possible. We have to implement the CSS, all those things. Whatever the possible attributes, what you can do, I'm trying to give that. Additional things you will come to know later with the help of CSS and all. Okay, not at this time. Right. So the section header has a help attribute to point any URL that can also be your Visualforce page also. So this is my help page. So how the page is identified? The page is identified by instance name / /apex:customer help page, right? That's how you identify the page. So what URL I'm going to provide here? I'm going to provide my Visualforce page name. I save it. So this is my page. So when I click on this, it goes to my page. This contains help information for adding new customer. Got me? Right. So there is an important point needs to be noted here. When you give any Visualforce page URL, you need not give an absolute path. When I say absolute path is nothing but a complete URL. Right? Reason, we are in the same organization. Right? So when you are going to execute any page, the page is part of your organization only. I'm already inside the location. I'm already inside this location. Then this location part can be skipped. Reason, when you keep this, right, you got me, all of you. I'm already into the location of AP15, c.ap15 location instance. I'm already into the instance. I can remove that instance and refer only the partial URL. Got me? Reason, when you keep the complete URL and deploy this Visualforce page into production, for example, you migrate this page into production, the production will have a different instance name, right? The production will have a different instance name. In that case, the page will be failed. The help link will be failed, right? So you are going to migrate the page alone. We are not going to migrate the URL also. The URL, when you point URL, you just point the help page as a relative URL, not the absolute URL. If it is going to be external page, then we'll point a complete path. We'll refer the complete path. But for any Visualforce page, you just refer the relative URL. Got me? What is the issue? When you give a complete URL, when the student header demo goes to different other organization, different other instance, it can be a production or another sandbox, the instance name will be different. This will be different, right? In that case, the page will not be executed. So try to remember, right? Always remember, don't go with the absolute URL. Give the partial URL. The absolute URL will only work in your current organization. Will not work in when you after the page is migrated to another environment, right? Okay, so and we have an attribute, a common attribute, right? Every attributes will have every component will have this attribute called render as well. You see the rendered. So rendered is by default it is true. So making it as false, so this section header company will not be displayed. The company section header is not displayed because the render will make it as a false, right? So people are able to follow this. Right, so let me copy the content for you, section header, so that you will have a reference notes for you. Section header notes. Of course, Apex is a namespace. Standard tag is used to create a header for the page. It's used to display a title for the page, right? A title is a text value which will be displayed as a title of the title for the header, and subtitle and description just to add some content below the header and help the URL of the page. It can be external URL or page URL. When you give the page URL, give the relative URL, not absolute URL. So render is a Boolean value which will say whether the section header needs to be rendered or not. Okay, and this is an example you can refer. People are good with this?
In the lead page, actually next to that link, there is one more content. How do we get that displayed?
Which one?
So if you go to the lead tab.
Okay, standard tab. Okay. Yeah. Yes, 1 minute. Let me. Yes, sure.
So tell me more. And the pipe.
No. Yeah, I understand. See, this is a standard way. They provided some attributes. This is not the one they given, but we can add this by using different other. Different other way you can customize. We cannot bring everything as it is, but most of the things you can inherit. You can recreate with a standard look and feel, but not everything. Everything needs, then you need to understand other components, and you need to customize with your own CSS, a custom link. That way you customize it. Okay, we are not trying to recreate exactly the things what you're seeing here. We are trying to implement some part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, right. We'll move on to other component. apexPage apexPage. This is a component used to add a section in the page. You say it's a section or block. Similar to standard page section. Okay, right. So what you're seeing here, there is a a section with some content inside. The section is nothing but, you can see a thin line, a block. So this block is nothing but a section. Okay, so the color of the section is inherited from the color of the tab, the style of the tab. When you go to the account, it's bluish style. The same style is applied to the section. So the section, what I mean here, is nothing but your page block. The block you can add in the page similar to the standard page block. So I have another block here, report. I have another block here, tools. Okay, so you can use a page block component and add a block in the page similar to the standard block of the Salesforce page. Right? We'll see now how to do that. Sorry, page block, I saved it. I'm saving this. Let's preview. You can see here some additional section is added. No content, but the block is added. I do not add, I'm not adding any content. Okay, let's add some content. Okay, so whatever text you enter as it is, the page will just render the text as it is. Visualforce page, whatever contents you add, that will be as it is displayed without any formatting. Right, now add that content inside the block. You can see that it's added inside the block. To be able to follow this, right? To differentiate, I'm just adding some section header here. Just for your reference purpose, I'm adding a section header so that you will understand it. Okay, the purpose of this just a page block I'm adding here. This will create a block in the page. This will add a this will include a block in the page. What's the purpose of this page block? I just given in the subtitle so that you can refer when you see the example. Right, the page block component will add a block in the page. Right, we'll see the other attributes one by one. You are able to follow this, why I'm including this section header, just to add information for you. Okay, right, so we'll see the other attributes. We have attributes called title. We have attributes title. So what we are going to discuss here, the title. The title attribute is to add a title for the page. I'm just giving the explanation for the title attribute, page block component, title, and what is the use of the title attribute. This will add a title for the block. So what is this actually? The title. The title. Similarly, we added a title for the block. Got me? The purpose of title attribute to add a title for the block, a customer. Okay, to be able to follow this, we'll proceed. Right. I have an attribute called dir. So dir says, the dir says The possible values of dir can be a left to right or right to left direction. It means this will specify the direction of the content. Okay, see, I put it as left to right to left, right to left. So what happens now? Every content in the block is displayed from right to left direction. Okay, from right to left direction. RTL is right to left. So every content is displayed in a right to left direction. So what are the possible values for dir? Right to left, left to right. So what is the default value then for your dir? It's going to be left to right. Left to right is the default value. That's what we are able to see the content from left to right direction. Right? Okay. There's another attribute in your page block. An attribute called subtitle. Sorry, not subtitle. Help title and help URL. So both should be together. You cannot skip one and leave other. If help title, help URL must be there. Help URL, help title must be there. So like a similar, the similar help link you have seen in your section header, right? So the label cannot be changed here in this case, right? In your section header, the label cannot be changed. It's always going to be help for this page. But what about here in your page block? We have two attributes, help title, help URL. You can give the title, on yourself. The label can be yourself. The title we have given. Customer help page. I'm trying to give this the page name. Got me? Right. See, you can see the extension of the page. It's going to be .vfp. Okay. The extension of the page is .vfp. Right. Help title and help URL. I'm just adding some information for you. Help title, help URL. To add a label and help link. Got me? Right. So I'm just giving the demo for help title. So you can see here what happened. A customer help for this page. Okay, preview. So I'm here, right? You can see here help title, help for this page. It's in our own label, whatever you given. Click on this, it goes to the help for this page. People are able to follow this. So we are able to give a okay, and we have a put a mute now. Put a mute. Someone is right, and attributes, other attributes like render attribute. We know the render attribute, right? Render will render the component or not. It decides whether components can be. By default, it's true, making it as false. This block will not be rendered. That block will not be rendered, right? So we okay, only a customer block and is rendered. The other block is not rendered, right? So we'll move on to the other one. We have seen almost all the things, right? Content, rendered, page block. Okay.
Sir, last one is confused, sir. You are giving the rendered is false so that the block will not displaying, right?
Yes, you're able to see this content. No, right? The block is not. See, I give this different title here. The employee block saved, refreshed. You're not seeing the employee block. Am I right?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Right. Okay. Right. So this is for your rendered.
So the help URL is for only the page block or even for the section?
You can add for a section as well. I'll give you another example now. That's what I'm going to give an example. One more example. Wait.
Okay. We are seeing in the section some other the help thing. What is that you tag?
What are you seeing here? The section header we not added any help issue.
Oh.
Okay, I'm just adding you for information so that you can refer. If you add a section header help also, that will appear here.
But
We will see one example now. We'll see. I'm going to give an example now. I thought to give. Okay. Render true. Okay, some information for your reference. There is one more attributes we have. Okay, right. Page block. Right, you can see here I give a different look and feel. A different tab style is inherited. Okay, so rest of the components, by default, the home tab style is inherited. But for the invoice block, I just giving a different look and feel. What look and feel I given? The lead tab style I given. So I refer the object tab name here, object name here. I refer the object name here for the tab style attribute. Automatically, the lead tab style is inherited. What is the lead tab style? It is in some color. I go to the contact. The contact is in some color. So just give the name of the object there. Contact. Just a look and feel, right? Look and feel. You're seeing here? So the blocks can inherit the different look and feel. Suppose if you are pointing any custom object, the custom object. So we already added some tab, right? ABCS. So this is in different color. So I just give the API name of the object. That's it. So I go to that page, scroll down, you can see this in ABC type, this in lead is an account contact type. By default, it inherits the home tab style. Got me, guys, all of you? You will follow this.
Custom table means it will be goes to as custom table color, right? So,
Exactly. That's color and look and feel only. No other things you need to concentrate here. Just look and feel only. Right. Just one more attribute. pageBlock. See here, there is another attribute we are going to talk about. The attribute is mode. The mode accepts a value detail, main detail. Okay, I can only, there are one more attributes values available for this, but that doesn't make any scope to discuss now. That can be discussed later because that needs some another component to be covered. So we just see two possible values, detail and main detail. Let's see how the content is displayed, then I'll explain that. You can see here, there is a white background, there is a gray background. The content is displayed in detail mode. It means, right, wherever you see the content in detail mode, you'll see the gray color in your standard look. In your standard page, you'll see the content is gray colored when you see the detail page. Okay, and similarly, when you go with the main detail, then it means the background gray color will not be displayed. It's a white background. So some color look and feel with respect to the mode, what mode we are going to display. The content is displayed in a detail mode and main detail mode. Main detail mode means the background gray color will go away and white background will appear. Okay, right. See, the mode attribute will make more sense when you cover other input components. Okay, that time I'll show the again more detail about the mode component. Okay, but in order to cover that attribute as well, I given this demo. People are able to follow this. So that's all for today. I give this upload these notes into the your chatter tab. Okay, so see you tomorrow, all of you.
Hi Ranjit, Ahmed here.
Yeah, tell me, ma.
I would like to call you. So when you will be free to connect with you on your?
You call me later 12 noon.
Okay, okay. All right, Ranjit. Thanks.
Okay, see you all. Take care, all of you.